Well, that's a step in the right direction.
What's up, everybody? We're back again. We missed last week. We're not dead. We're still here. A lot to be talked about today on Gen Z Reviews, episode 25. Every time, I just can't believe we're this far, Luke. So
Flies by.
it's a real pleasure to be back here again with my friend Luke Galliardo. He's extra bright today, like an angel.
As always.
I think this is the brightest we've seen you
Maybe,
so far.
I don't know.
You are glowing, man.
It's a new angle, man.
New angle. All right. But hey, Luke, it's not just us today, is it? It's not just you and me busting each other's balls talking about Reservoir Dogs. I think we need to introduce our special guest. He's been on our channel before. You know him as the Jersey Ball Buster. He's got a keen eye for quality film, while also taking a look at all the crap that's been coming out lately. So let's not waste any time. Let's have our friend Dark Hour Odd. What's up? The Midnight Snack himself.
This is the only shirt I have that says that it's a late night show. So I just
that's good. Man, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I can't complain. This is a great movie we're going to be talking about. Channel's been growing. Cannot complain about life too hard right now.
Yeah, good. Happy things.
Plus, that's not why I'm here. Why would I come here to complain about my life?
You can do that. I mean, maybe the audience wants to hear it, you know? I'll hear anything. I'll hear anything you say, man. But yeah, we are here to talk about Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino's first film, which is just insane to think about. I really don't know how you start off with just a home run like this. And I guess that it makes a lot of sense for him because, you know, he's one of those, I mean, he has to be one of he is top 5 most iconic directors, definitely of our time. To me, there isn't a director that beats him. I love every single Tarantino film I watch. There hasn't really been one I've been disappointed by. Dark Hour, you said behind the scenes that this was your favorite Tarantino film. Is that right?
Yeah, it's between this and Pulp Fiction. I think this one, the reason why I love this movie so much, it's really a masterclass in minimalism, like doing a lot with very little. I think that if I recall correctly, they filmed this in like 30 days or 35 days, something like that. It was just over a month that they filmed this in. They barely had any money. You know, it's all in mostly one location. Even that the apartment that a lot of Mr. Orange's scenes are, that's just the upper half. That's just a on top of the warehouse. They just mocked it up to look like an apartment. And so they really did a lot with very little. There's, as we go through it and talk about it, there's other little things that are fun about the clothes that they're wearing or the cars and stuff. But yeah, I just think that anytime you know, this was voted one of the most, I think it was the most influential independent film of the last 15 or 20 years or something like that. So it was, yeah.
Dang. It's crazy.
I guess. Well, now I guess what I mean, like, you know, well, I guess it's no longer because it's older than that now. But I guess when it was voted, it was that amount.
Yeah, only early 90s. It's crazy to think how much has happened since then. I mean, we're in 2025 now.
Yeah.
And it's just the funny thing, the truth of the matter, it's just hilarious how we haven't really been able to grow since this point. I mean, that was really the peak. I mean, to me, this was the peak of Tarantino, was right in the beginning. You know, just like you said, I mean, this is just exceptional. So many reasons why, and we're going to get into that. Before we do, I want to just lay out the story just briefly for people in case our viewers aren't aware of Reservoir Dogs, because, you know, when I first watched this, I saw this for the first time, man, like 5 years ago, and I immediately fell in love. It was unlike anything I've ever seen before. You know, this was my very first Tarantino film. This is my introduction into his style, into just how wild he is and violent. You know, not even violent like physically sometimes. You know, it's emotionally violent. It's you know, particularly tormenting in every way possible. And really, before that time, I've never seen a film like that. And I think this is just a great movie to get people started into Tarantino's style, because this just touches on everything Tarantino, you know. But, you know, just describing the story a little bit, it's a suspenseful crime thriller that hyperfixates on the aftermath of a heist gone wrong. You know, you think that maybe this is a heist movie. You know, these guys are gearing up for this big diamond heist and that it's going to be, you know, action packed and thrilling in that sort of fashion, but it's really not. Most of it's drama based and just strictly suspenseful, because most of the movie you're spent time right after the heist falls apart, and the whole band of crewmates, they're all kind of stuck in this warehouse, and everybody's split up. The heist went wrong. It went to shit, and all of the heist mates, they're pretty much all strangers from each other. Nobody really knows anybody except the main like mob boss. They're all very familiar with him, Joe, and his delinquent son, nice guy Eddie. But all of these crewmates, they go by these different color aliases. You have Mr. White. Let's see, I think I got the picture right here. Yeah, Mr. White here. He's in the middle. He's sort of the main character. You have Tim Roth there on the right of him, Mr. Orange. Tarantino, he's Mr. Brown in the very far right, but he's unfortunately just not very present at all. And then you have Steve Buscemi as Mr. Pink on the left, and Mr. Blonde, which is on the very far left here, who is an absolute psychomaniac. But as the story progresses, you learn so many interesting tidbits about his character. But like I said, the majority of the story takes place in this warehouse. And, that doesn't sound particularly interesting, a bunch of characters just kind of camping out, but that's not all that's happening here. These guys, they're all very different kinds of criminals. And at first they seem like they're almost decent men, but as time progresses, their past is revealed and their true character is unleashed. And you discover just how wicked all of them are in very different ways. So, and then amongst them, even worse yet, there's a snitch. So everyone's worst tendencies are even more at the forefront. So I know, Luke, this was your very first time watching Reservoir Dogs. What was your reaction to seeing this for the first time? And then after that, Dark Hour, if you want to just maybe tell us about your first reaction and experience with Reservoir Dogs when you saw it for the first time as well.
Oh man, it was great. It's I know what you're talking about. It's very very iconic. Hell of a first film for Tarantino. I mean, that was phenomenal. As you're saying, there was a snitch that made everything so tense on my part, at least, because you had no clue. I mean, there were like what 5 guys, but you had no clue. You're convinced that none of them were the
technically there's 6, but one of them doesn't have any lines and dies off screen.
Yeah, I know, it's so confusing because you have Mr. Blue, you have Mr. Brown, you have Mr. Blonde, and then you have Mr. Pink and Mr. White.
Right.
Am I missing one? That's 5.
Did you say Mr. Brown?
I think I said Mr. Brown.
Brown, blonde, pink, white,
Orange.
blue, and orange.
And orange. Orange was the other one.
Tim Roth, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, blue. They totally ignored blue.
Well, so that was Ed Bunker. He was like a real life criminal. He was basically brought on to just give presents. Yeah, like
Was it really?
yeah,
hilarious. Wait, I have
Wow.
a picture of him here. Yeah, there in the blue, in the bottom left. That's
Seriously?
hilarious.
Wow.
yeah.
I
He was like
guess
a real
so.
life criminal. Like he was.
Hilarious.
And that's one of the reasons why he was just brought on for pure like presents to make them seem legitimate. Like that was all it was.
Man, respect to Tarantino for being authentic. Sorry, Luke, continue.
Oh no, I found, and I just really enjoy Quentin Tarantino's method of directing, how he bounces back to a specific character, and then it leads up to the present, and he keeps doing that until all the characters run out. I really enjoyed that. The cast always kills it in Tarantino movies.
yeah.
They're all they act as if we'd act in real life. It's like you were saying.
Yeah, well, Luke and I were talking because we just watched this about an hour ago, and it's like, now not all guys are like this. I'm not saying we act particularly like
Right.
this, but it's kind of nice seeing guys act like guys and talk like guys, busting each other's balls, saying inappropriate jokes, whatever else. It's like, man, you cannot display this sort of affection at all anymore. And obviously these guys go pretty far with it. Not saying that's what we do, but I mean, it's
I love
kind
the
of ball busting,
conversation.
bro.
I love
Yeah,
the
for the first 2
conversation about Madonna's song. It's
Oh,
it's about
yeah,
a chick.
of
She meets a
course,
guy
man.
with a big dick, and he's just giving it to her. Just like,
They go. I mean, these guys. Yeah, I mean,
Priceless.
Tarantino especially was the most wild of all of them. But I
Well, he
mean,
has
this is
to
how
be,
guys talk to some degree.
Did you know that Madonna had she reached out to him, sent him like a copy of like the single, and it was like, "P.S. It's not about a dick," or something like
really?
that. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Of course
awesome.
you did.
Yeah.
Madonna's freaky, bro. But yeah, do you have anything else, Luke? You were saying?
Oh, that's pretty much it. It was a very simple, Tarantino has that method of, making simple movies like one setting, really,
Mhm.
but yet making it interesting and great.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers just to the warehouse
Right.
itself or
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
this abandoned building was. I was like, it doesn't sound that exciting, but they're able to do so much with this like empty space. And like you said, Dark
Mhm.
Hour, we're in this room the whole time. And when we're not, it's another confined claustrophobic room that Mr. Orange is in, or they're on the roof or something like that. But yeah, he's able to make the space so dynamic and interesting, and it doesn't feel claustrophobic, even though we're stuck in these small spaces the whole time. So, what did you think, Dark Hour?
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about the actual location, yeah, they use every inch of that warehouse. What like, and they do it in such a great way, like the infamous torture scene, which almost didn't get put in the movie. Actually,
Mhm.
Tarantino had to actually fight with to keep it in there because it was an independent film, and then it got picked up for mass distribution. He had to fight with Harvey Weinstein, to keep it in the movie. And
Yikes!
yeah, which I mean,
Wow.
and he won clearly.
Weinstein gave
Uh,
a thumbs up.
yeah, he was. But like when they put on the he puts on the radio and you're listening to it, and then he leaves, and it like the fade in and fade out of the music is great. The way that they do all of that. Each room is used for a scene, and like I said, the upper level is the apartment that you see multiple times in the movie, so technically it's not even on a different location, even though it seems like
Oh,
it.
it's
And
that
then
building. I
yeah,
didn't
it's
know that.
just it was the upper level.
Wow.
They rigged it up to look like an apartment building, so and it's really what it comes down to is this movie wasn't about flashy locations. It wasn't about too much action. There's a couple of action sequences, like the chase sequence with Steve Buscemi, which I have a little fun fact about as well. The but most of it, 95% of the movie is all in one location, and it's just what you can do with very little when you have actors that are committed to the script.
Hmm.
And the little story about that, they didn't have the permits to do that, so to like shut down this road, so they had to wait till the light was green to film it.
That's
So they
awesome.
so he was on just a regular
Yeah,
road.
guerrilla filmmaking,
Yeah.
man. Guerrilla filmmaking, bring it back. What's the famous film with Gene Hackman? It's like, the example
Oh,
of
French Connection.
yeah, French Connection, of
Mhm.
their
Yeah.
wild car chase scenes
Mhm.
where they're just going wild in the street where
That was one of my father's
homeless
favorite movies,
people.
actually. French Connection was one of my father's favorite movies.
Man, yeah, I feel like that's a very dad movie.
It's a dad movie.
It's a dad movie.
That was a dad movie.
I gotta see
You have
that
a
one
kid, you
still.
watch the French Connection. It just happens.
Yeah. I think like when I first saw this, I I was pretty like I think Tarantino, he does such a good job giving you so many compelling characters that are, likable but also disgusting. I think so many of the characters in here, not even just Mr. Blonde, are just there's just something so dirty and gross about them. And I think that like relies in the subtleties of the characters, because every time I try to think about like a lot of his films, I have a hard time putting my finger on why I feel that way about them. But if we talk about a few of these characters, because like you said, this movie, it's all about the characters here. There's not much flash. It doesn't need that. And I certainly didn't want it either. So I was glad that it stuck to just strictly more so a character drama. You have all the different characters here. They're all pretty different from each other, and like I said, none of them really are too familiar with one another. And I'm just wondering, what did you guys think of these characters right off the bat? Were you intrigued by any of their storylines more than the others, or did you think some maybe
Mr.
you didn't
Mr.
need to see
Blue.
as much?
Mr. Blue is the best character.
Mr. Pink
he's
had me.
he's the standout role. A
So
plus.
it's funny because the opening sequence in the diner pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the movie. If you think it's actually a microcosm of most of the movie. So I'll just go through the characters a little bit here. Tim Roth, Mr. Orange, when actually, I won't start with him. So one of the main argument between the two, between Mr. White and Mr. Pink, is whether or not Pink should tip or not. It shows that Mr. White has this compassion about him. Hey, this is a hard job. They don't get paid a lot. That's what inevitably kills him, is because he trusts people. Mr. Pink survives the longest. I mean, if you listen, he dies outside, but because he doesn't trust people and doesn't believe in the system and all of this stuff, and he's out for himself. Mr. Orange is the one who rats him out for not tipping. Tells you he's the rat. You know, the whole time you have Tarantino is the weirdo of the group. He's going on about music and talking about all this weird shit. Blue doesn't say anything, so you know that he's not really relevant. You know, Blonde is talking about killing people the whole time, so you know he's a psychopath. And even Joe, like he walks up and he goes, "Everyone just tip. I got the main check," which means most of the money's mine. You guys get your share. It's like a reverse of what's going to happen with the diamond heist. So the whole movie happens in the first 5 to 10 minutes.
Wow. Dang. That's a very important scene. That went right over my head. I didn't see that.
This is the first time. It's the first time you've ever seen it. You wouldn't notice that on the first go through. You need to watch. Yeah, you have to watch. If it's the first time you've ever seen the movie, or I guess you saw it once before, but if you have to watch it twice pretty close together to pick up on all those things.
Jeez, that makes sense. I feel like every scene he has, it's like important, it's consequential. You know, I think what's exciting and also can be like kind of infuriating for a lot of audience members, I imagine, is how it kind of jumps around the timeline, because I got confused by that quite a bit, because, you know, we're stuck in the present most of the time, but then we also explore their backgrounds and each one of these characters' familiarity with Joe and you know, his belligerent son and the patty ass white boy right there, the purple. But that was a little confusing for me, and that made it a little difficult for me to track exactly what was going on in the present and who was who exactly. But nevertheless, it did create just such a compelling narrative. I think for the characters, I think right off the bat, I had a pretty good sense that Tim Roth was the snitch, and maybe it had to do with, maybe I was just thinking outside of the box with that intro scene, like you said, Dark Hour. But for me, I was, you know, I don't like Mr. Blonde at all.
You're not supposed to.
I know, but it's like, man, this guy, after watching it again, that guy, it's a damn shame that actor's gone now, because he is just exceptional. He's good. He was great in all of those Tarantino films I've seen him in. He really is something. And, you know,
Michael Madsen.
Yeah, Michael Madsen. Yeah. He is awesome in this. And I think his character, you know, we go into their backgrounds, like I said. And I think I was surprised, and I was kind of almost enlightened by his amount of respect he had for Joe and Eddie. You know, he's like the only character in this entire group that has really that amount of respect from them and has that much respect for them. You know, he's kind of billed as a disloyal member once he enters the scene. And, you know, they think he's psychotic, he's crazy, which he is. But, you know, to Joe and Eddie, he's the one they trust the most, and he's the most reliable. So I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic they play on. And, you know, the background, I thought I enjoyed learning about that sort of respect he garnered by doing the time in prison for them. You know, he really put himself out there doing 4 years just so, you know, they don't get ratted out. So I thought that was particularly interesting. What did you think, Luke?
I didn't pick up on much on that sequence.
Well, I mean, characters, like which one of these characters were you most intrigued by?
There we go. I'd say Mr. Pink. I really enjoyed how his character portrayed the one that was all for himself. He trusted nobody. It made him more spontaneous and more interesting, because he was kind of out doing his own thing, kind of whereas who was it? Tim Roth. He was kind of the sucker of the group, you know, ironically, because he's the cop. One thing I didn't understand about Tim Roth was, why did he get? Did the cops outside know he was a cop, or was he? Undercover? Well,
I think. Well, remember he when he gets shot, that woman shoots him in the car when he tries to steal the car.
Was that a cop that shot him?
I don't think
No,
so. That was just
no. He gets
random
shot by
lady.
the woman. They're trying to steal her car,
Oh, okay. I
and
thought
she
that
just
was the cop
she
that
pulls
shot
a
him.
gun out of her.
Okay.
I think it's her glove compartment. I can't remember off the top of my head now. It's either the glove compartment or purse, and shoots him in the stomach. And some of the cops know who he is. So generally with undercover cops, they don't even. A lot of other cops don't even know. Like deep undercover like this. A lot of other cops don't know, so they don't have any reactions and stuff with each other. The only reason why the one who gets tortured even knows who he is because they met briefly at a party years ago.
Okay.
And
That
so
answers my question about Mr. Orange. Then, my one more thing. I really wished. What's Tarantino's code name?
Brown.
Mr. Brown.
I really wish Mr. Brown had more screen
I
time.
know. I love it when he shows up in these movies.
Tarantino knows that he's not a great actor, and at this point, him being the primary, him doing everything, cinematography, directing, he was basically a one man. He wrote it, he was doing everything, so he knew he couldn't do that much in the acting part. Originally, he was supposed to be, I believe, Mr. Orange, and then he realized it was just going to be too much. He wouldn't have, and it wouldn't have worked. Tim Roth was the proper. Everybody was cast perfectly.
Right.
I think if I had to choose one, I would probably agree that Steve Buscemi just nails the part completely. I love Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi is one of my favorite actors, but so is Harvey Keitel, and Harvey Keitel as Mr. White is
He's
money as
awesome.
well. Like those two and their back and forths, because they're the majority of the movie is those two. And they're going back and forth all the time. And they're conflicting philosophies on how to deal with the situation. And the whole time they're trying to convince the other one that they're right, and they both fail every time. It's such a great character piece. And then obviously you got Mr. Blonde, who has connections to, so his name's Vic Vega, and then Vincent Vega is in Pulp Fiction. That's John Travolta's character. They're brothers. And they both
the
died.
Characters are brothers, or the actors?
The characters are brothers.
Weird.
And they both practically die the same way. And there was supposed to be a prequel movie about the two of them, but they were too old. And
that would be so cool.
Obviously now they can't do shit with it because Mattson died. But
that sucks. Definitely not a prequel with how old he was too.
Man,
they
would have had to do that digital aging thing, and it would have looked weird.
For the whole movie. Yeah, that wouldn't work too well. I think you make a great point. Mr. White, he is exceptional in this. I love him. And he has such an interesting relationship with Mr. Orange, Tim Roth. I think, that's what makes the ending just so painful to watch, as he understands that everything, all of that effort he went into protecting him and kind of fathering him was all for nothing. I think something that I respect about this movie and about Tarantino is just how he layers all of it. The story is so well layered, and their relationships are so complicated and layered themselves, and it builds throughout the movie. And I think like that was one of those massive concepts that really paid off well at the end, was the reveal that Tim Roth was the snitch the whole time. He was the informant, the undercover cop, and all that effort that Mr. White went into performing to keep him safe was all for nothing. So.
Well, because at that point, it's no longer about who's the snitch, because you've now seen Mr. Orange's story. So there's the tension of who ratted them out, what's going on, who knows what all is going on, what are the cops going to find this place? Now you know why. So now it's the tension flips on its head. It's whether or not they're going to find out. It's whether or not they're going to figure out that Orange is the snitch, and mostly whether or not how Mr. White's going to react when that happens. And you see what happens. He basically loses. Honestly, I always like to wonder, had he survived this, how he would have been, because he put so much trust into him, and it bit him in the ass. So it becomes a scenario of like you're literally watching a person break right in front of you, and Harvey Keitel gets it perfect. It's this guttural noise that he makes, everything up his like eyes, the way his eyes are bugging out, and he does it perfect.
Yeah, total.
I don't think anybody else. I mean, Harvey Keitel is like one of those great classically trained actors who also can do, like all different styles. And I don't know if anybody else could have did that. I don't know if anybody else could have had that moment, especially not on the cast. I think he was the only one on the cast that could have had that moment.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think. Yeah, none of these guys really have that much range. I wouldn't say.
Oh no, they have range, but that's you needed a specific kind of reaction that I'm not sure any of them else could have got it. I mean, like Steve Buscemi's played everything under the sun, from a hobo to a gangster on the boardwalk. Like, he's done everything. Tim Roth has been, this, and then he was Abomination in the MCU. Like,
and he was Abomination in She-Hulk.
We don't talk about
that. Madsen has played a litany of characters throughout, even just his Tarantino movies. They all have range, but Keitel he knew them exactly how to do that moment.
Did Madsen go outside of Tarantino? Was he ever in anything else?
Yeah, he's in a lot of movies. Yeah, but Tarantino liked to reuse actors. Harvey Keitel appears in at least 3 of his films. Madsen, I think, is in like 4 of them. I mean, it depends, because he's in both of the Kill Bills. Tim Roth appears in several. Steve Buscemi always makes cameo appearances. Like he's in the Jackrabbit Slims waiter in Pulp Fiction, like just randomly for one scene.
Nice.
He sticks with a lot of the same actors.
Were you guys surprised by how evil pretty much everybody turned out to be? Because I think, like, in the very beginning, I think all of these characters are kind of painted as just like simple, like, criminals interested in making a buck. But as time progresses, it's like I said earlier, it's revealed that a lot of these guys are way more maliceful than you initially imagined. Especially, malicious. Than maliceful.
Maliceful.
Come on, similar, right? But I'm zonked, man. It's late. We do this late, man. But I'm in. But yeah, were you guys surprised by that? Because especially Mr. Blonde, I doubt anybody could have seen that character go off as far as he did, especially with the cop scene.
I personally like to rule out just one of them, Mr. Pink. He kept it cool and made it clear that he wanted to be professional and keep his emotion outside of it. But
even though he was super evil, we see him like gun down cops left and right, and he took pleasure in it.
Sane in the same way, oddly. But I feel like Mr. Blonde, he was most malicious. He was evil, ruthless, and seemed like he'd even use his mind.
Well, he was sadistic because there was not even a reason to do what he was doing. Right. He did it because he wanted to do it.
He was doing it so mindlessly too. I mean, he was just doing it like just so casually and just throwing the gasoline and
gosh,
awful. Just things you wouldn't do to your worst enemy. I mean, so sadistic, like you were saying. It's awful. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what makes him such a compelling character, is because all of them, but he's basically just reacting on pure pleasure of whatever the moment is, and he loves to inflict pain on people. So
that's great. Those are the kind of people we need in this world.
Yeah, I mean, from a character perspective, it makes sense in a thing like this. I personally wouldn't want to deal with it. But I guess if I was putting together a team of criminals, you probably want a guy like that on the team. Someone who's gonna do the things that maybe no one else is gonna want to do.
Well, that's what I think is interesting about this. All these characters, as you learn about their backstories, you see that a lot of them do kind of take pleasure in evil. Even Mr. White, Steve Buscemi, not Tim Roth, but I mean, you see them and they're happy to hurt cops, kill cops. They didn't seem too concerned about bystanders necessarily. And then, you start to get wise that these guys aren't great guys at all. And then once he barges in, it kind of completely shifts the tone altogether. And you see that, this guy is evil on a totally different front. So I guess I was just kind of wondering, how do you guys think the group dynamic changed once Mr. Blonde showed up to the scene?
They all turned out to seem like good guys compared to Mr. Blonde. Like, they all looked so much better. Everything they did, you were like, oh, that's not that bad. really changed my. That's how it changed my look on it. It was like, damn. I mean, this guy.
It's not that bad. I like that.
No.
So
Yeah.
I think everybody, now bear with me here, the wording might not make sense at first, but everybody knows a Mr. Blonde. And what I mean by that is everyone had that friend group or something where you were, 3 or 4 of you would be together, and then that one person would show up and everything just felt weird. Almost like they know who invited this guy. Like what that's Mr. Blonde, is that on the highest possible level. He makes it awkward. He makes it uncomfortable when he's in a room. And Madsen does such a good, I mean, that's a great picture right there. It explains it. He's so calm, cool, and collected with basically a chaos. Chaos is happening around them, and he's just like, yeah, I stopped for a soda. He's just like, I stopped for fries, and it's just, he basically completes the group in the most negative possible way.
Well, I thought like at this point, a lot of these characters were starting to like trust each other and kind of, they were all sort of on like a equal playing field before he showed up. It was clear that Mr. White and Mr. Orange, they were starting to trust each other. Buscemi starting to get in on the plan. It seemed like a lot of them were kind of, I don't know, they were accepting of each other. They all knew the situation. And once Mr. Blonde appeared, it kind of ruined that dynamic that they had. They sort of had a decent base for something to make a decision as to what to do next. And then once he showed up, everything went to shit because it was revealed at that moment that it was Mr. Blonde that really just lit his top off when he just started shooting up the diamond wholesale store. So I don't know. I think I noticed that when I was watching it. But once he shows up too, the story, it really becomes way more violent. I think at this point, this is when, of course, he brings out the cop and all that terrible stuff happens with him. But right after this, these characters, they start losing it. They become way more vocal. They're shouting at each other. They're beating each other up. They're throwing each other around. And it was interesting, how this ultra violent character was kind of able to bring an aura with him to totally tear apart the group itself.
Right.
Well, they say multiple times that they weren't even cool with him being part of the group. So, like, to begin with, they thought that he was too extreme for what they were trying to do. They didn't need someone like him. So,
yeah.
Well, stirred the pot.
Yeah, I guess what was the point of him being there? It's interesting how like the heist goes down. The way they describe it is that they it was all everything was very calculated, very planned. Joe, he was a mastermind, the leader here in the bottom right. It sounds like he's had many of these similar kind of heists before. This one had a lot of stakes, and it was really supposed to go without error. They were going into the jewelry store. They weren't interested in hurting anybody or anything. They were not going to be breaking into the display cases, and there wasn't any reason to trip any sort of alarm because what they were interested in was like some high value diamonds that were in the back. So they were supposed to go to the back and retrieve those. But, if it weren't for Mr. Blonde kind of losing his cool and starting to shoot up the place, they would have, technically gotten out of there okay. But, of course, what actually happened was Tim Roth's people were, waiting behind the scenes to arrest all of them. So definitely interesting that it changed in that sort of fashion. Why don't we talk about the cop torture scene? Because I remember the first time I saw this, all those years, like 5 years ago, that was a very different point in time of my life. It was just, it was one of the most disturbing, evil things I've ever seen. And it got to a point where because I'd seen the movie all that time ago, maybe twice or 3 times, 5 years ago, quite a while ago. And I had to fast forward every time because I remembered it being just utterly horrifying and disturbing and graphic. I thought it was very graphic, but when we watched it again today, it really isn't. They don't actually show you much. And that just kind of goes to show you how much of an expert Tarantino is at filmmaking, that he's able to, you know, protrude these horrifying feelings and you know, the tension and the suspense of what is happening here without actually showing it. And it's the same kind of effect. I think it would have been the same effect if he actually showed the poor cop getting his ear cut off and him catching on fire or whatever else. I think it would have been the same feeling because it just hits. It hits hard, even though you're not directly looking at it.
It's the thought of it. I mean, Quentin Tarantino has his thing of putting that one scene, that one edgy scene, not to mention the scene from Pulp Fiction.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
Don't talk about that one.
No, that's even.
Which scene are you talking about in
Yeah,
Pulp Fiction?
The scene, the gimp. You know, the scene that.
Oh, the gimp. Yeah.
Of course,
the whole scene. But anyway,
but yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's.
Thankfully, I've never seen that one in its entirety.
Scene.
I don't.
You've never seen Pulp Fiction in its entirety?
No, I have not seen that scene in its entirety.
Yes,
so I guess technically I haven't seen the whole film in its entirety. I chose not to see that happen. It's not something I needed in my head.
Pulp Fiction is a fantastic movie.
I love it though.
Favorite
Yeah,
Tarantino movie by far. But anyway, the scene.
Little rum tequila for the.
There we go.
It's rum and
Tarantino
tequila
himself.
Cheers. The scene where they were, the Mr. Blonde was torturing the cop. That's Tarantino's way of, pushing the viewers to the limits and putting us on our toes to prepare us for what comes next, the next sequence of the film. I don't know what point Mr. Blonde was trying to prove other than being sadistic and awful, but lighting him on fire would have just escalated so much, and that's what I was kind of preparing myself for. I was preparing.
You looked freaked out when we were watching it.
I was like, oh no, lighting someone on fire. That's just
it's too far.
That's just awful. That's like complete torture.
Yeah, you don't need to see that.
But yeah, it was just frustrating because the cops were just outside. They knew. I think they knew that there was activity going on in the building. They were just waiting for a cue.
They must have known Tim Roth was shot, I imagined.
I mean, there were two cops in there being tortured. I mean, there were like one or two.
Yeah, and they knew that there was a hostage. They had to have known one of the cops was taking hostage.
They could have just, I don't know. I just feel like.
Well, they had a cue. They had a cue to come in, but I guess the whole operation would have been a bust if they had just bust in there and saved him. But you'd think his life would be worth more than that. That was odd. I'm curious to know if cops like do these sorts of things. If a life like one of the police force is on the line.
No,
like
so that they real life they wouldn't have let it get that far. Cops are a very tight-knit group. The only way that it would have gotten that, he would have had to have been like one that no one liked, like was an asshole. The outcast cop. But like I came up in I grew up in a police family, and I could tell you that they stick together. They stick together. You become a cop. You have cop friends. You go to cop drinking events. You go to you go to cop weddings and birthday parties. Everything is cop. It's not you might have a couple of friends here and there outside of the force, but for the most part, your friend group you become a family. And same thing with firefighters, do the same thing, and EMTs tend to do that too. It's just there's a mutual shared understanding of their lifestyle. And so yeah, they wouldn't have let it get to that point. So at least somebody would have broken rank,
That's encouraging for our police force. I could see you being a cop, Dark Hour. That'd be cool.
I mean, I probably could have done it. I didn't really ever want to, though. It was just not I didn't want to follow in the Officer Dark Hour. Officer Dark Hour. I mean, my name's Russ.
The official name. Oh, truth revealed.
People have heard my name before. It's not like, but yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, they wouldn't have let him get to that point. The thing that about the torture sequence that it's the less he shows, the more. Because like if you show the ear get cut off fully and all this stuff, it just becomes the gore porn. It becomes the saw. Yeah, you have a reaction, but there's something about what your mind can create that makes it worse.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, usually it's more interesting that way too. Let's get to the chat real quick. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. We appreciate you. Rachel Piercy Art, the snack is back. Yo, hell yeah, he is. The snack in its finest form. Cass
They
is
told me to
here.
cut. They told me to cut back on certain things, so I might not taste quite as good anymore. My doctor was like, "You got to cut back on you know."
Dark Hour's going for the bulk.
Oh no, I'm getting close to. I'm 37. I'm getting closer and closer to 40. So it's
Man.
it's
40 years young. Cass Styles, good evening, guys. Proctophile's here. Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's up,
Hey, good to
Proctophile?
see you, man. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Yep. Proctophile, I swear, it doesn't matter how old people get. We're all basically children on the inside.
I actually feel like I've become younger. As I used to be when I was a kid, I was like a little old man. I really was. Like I just was always grumpy and just
Nice.
as I've gotten older, I think I've become more childlike. It's very weird.
Oh, that's a weird reversion.
Yeah, that's
Ever since I was young, I wasn't really. I'd like to thought.
You mean like a week ago?
Yeah, when I was 5 about a year ago. Yeah, no, when I was younger, I don't know. I never really liked other kids very much. I didn't like. I just didn't like how immature a lot of people were, and I
Yeah,
thought.
I
especially
I
in
used
the
to always say
college years.
I hated teenagers when I was one, so I couldn't imagine what it was going to happen when I got older. I still hate teenagers. I still
they still
them,
suck.
so.
Well, we're not teenagers, but you could still hate us. Just so you know.
No, I don't hate you guys. You guys are fun.
That's
You guys both have Captain America shields. I'm cool with that.
There we
yeah,
go.
that's right. Except
Are they the
his-
same shield, by the way? Are they the same?
No, his
like,
is cooler. He
mine's
has
metal.
actual metal, but
oh, yours is plastic,
yeah,
or like carbon fiber or something.
yeah, I've been meaning to upgrade.
I mean, I
Luke-
can't tell from this distance. They look the same. So
There you go, okay.
Luke's
That's good.
shield is Sam Wilson's shield, though. Is that okay?
Ah. I got this back in 2016. So no, it's not.
Okay, good.
Which one's yours? Yours is the one from the original movie.
I think it's First Avenger. I think it's like the
the original movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's solid, man.
Still my favorite outfit of Captain America's will always be the one in the second movie when the all blue. I know it's not traditional, but I just thought it looked so cool.
Yeah.
I like the Infinity War suit the most. I thought that one,
black one.
Yeah, I thought it was sweet. But that's not really Captain
Ripped up
America.
one.
That's Nomad, right?
Nomad, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, great. Talking about bullying us some more. Now I have to bully him to watch things more than once. Yeah, you're already bullying me to watch something once. Now you're going to bully me to watch it 5 times over.
So,
That's
I mean, here's the thing is with something like this, like I was saying, you get, when you watch something multiple times, you start to pick up on stuff. It was different when I was in high school. You got to remember that. It wasn't. Now it's you have endless movies at your disposal. And if you have 2 or 3 of these services, you can effectively never watch the same movie again. Pretty much I first time I watched this was with my friend Icaro in high school. I've mentioned him multiple times on various podcasts I've been on, and because we used to hang out like every day, and we had DVDs. We had like 100 DVDs amongst the 2 of us, but like we really just had to keep watching the same stuff. So you would sometimes see a movie a few times in a month, because like, oh, let's watch that one again. Let's see what we can pick out. I'd watch it with DVD commentary and stuff. I don't do that. I don't watch it with commentary anymore because it's harder to get. Used to just be on the DVD, Now if you do it on digital, unless you buy the movie on like Vudu or Fandango or something, you can't really do the commentary on Disney Plus or anything like that.
It's like commentary that plays over the movie, like while it's running. I'm
telling you, if you want to truly learn about a movie and like all that went into it, buy a DVD with the director's commentary. Or sometimes they'll have a director and one of the stars or something, the director and the writer. Watch that. Watch it with that. Obviously, do it for a movie you've seen before. Don't do it the first time you ever watch it. But one of the best ones ever is Boogie Nights. You watch it with Boogie Nights. When Paul Anderson is talking about the movie, he goes off on these tangents about things, and you learn so much about the process that they went through.
That's an interesting recommendation. Boogie Nights.
I'm telling you,
I've never
Boogie
heard
Nights
of
is Boogie Nights is literally my favorite movie. So
man, is that an oldie?
90s.
Oh, 90s. Oh, okay, that's not that bad. That's not old. I don't consider that old. Dark Hour.
And you get to
You
see
know.
Heather Graham naked, so it's
Oh.
that's the best recommendation.
Now I
can
know
give
why
you.
it's your favorite.
No, actually, I just love that movie. I just think it's a great movie.
Oh gosh, that's funny, man. Let's see. Canyon's here. What's up, Tristan? Good to see you,
Tristan.
buddy. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. It looks like Proctofile has. Oh, okay. You texted him. That's good. Yeah. Rachel's talking about Michael Madsen. He would rather choke people for fun
No,
and
it's
profit.
talking about me.
Oh, about you? Oh
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
of course. That's you. I'm mixing
Nice.
you up with Mr. Blonde. That's not good. Oh gosh.
But
That's
it's
good.
funny because the reason why in jiu-jitsu, the reason I choke people is because I don't like injuring people, and like joint locks hurt people.
Mm.
So chokes just, you go unconscious. It sucks, but it doesn't, unless I hold it for 5 straight minutes, you're not gonna die from it. But if you armbar somebody too hard, you snap their arm. You heel hook somebody,
Yikes.
you tear all their ligaments in their knee. And I've never injured somebody in 17 years, and I don't plan on ever doing it. So
It's good. You're a sweet guy. You just want the points.
Thanks, Dark Hour.
Don't kill Luke, please. I need him here.
Yeah.
Or me. I need it here too. Okay, well, why don't we get to one of the main portions? Because right after that, the scene where the poor cop is dissected and nearly caught on fire, it's revealed who the snitch is, and obviously it's Tim Roth's character. Were you guys surprised that was him? And
I
who
was.
do you think we were led to believe was
Mr.
the
Blonde.
actual cop the whole time?
Mr. Blondie.
You thought he was really?
Yeah, when he was leading them out to the car, I thought he was just going to. I thought a bunch of cops were going to be surrounding them. That's what I thought for sure. He was so awkward and like he was like, "Hey, come with me. Let's go outside." And they were all following him, and I thought they were going to be surrounded and swarmed, but no.
I guess in that point in time, I thought he was going to like whack him, but that's a nicer way of thinking that would have went down though. What do you think, Dark Hour?
I mean, you're asking me to remember something from 25 years ago, the first time I saw the movie. If I recall correctly, I want to say I thought it was Mr. White the first time I watched it. As I was watching it, because he does fight against it a lot. Because the whole time, Mr. Pink, there was a snitch. There had to be a snitch. And he's like, there was no snitch. So like, up until the reveal, I think it is written in a way that it could be him. Honestly, there's really only the 3 possibilities, because obviously Blue and Brown are dead, so
That's correct.
it really could only be, in my opinion, it can only be Pink, Orange, or White. It can't be Blonde. He's too much of a wild card that they wouldn't even try to use him as like an insider or anything like that.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't really. He did a good job making it unclear as to who should be suggested, because none of them really made sense. Even Tim Roth's character didn't really make sense, but with the options you had, it's like, well, it's probably going to be that guy. I was thinking maybe it would have been like Baldy's delinquent son, Eddie.
Nice guy Eddie.
Yeah, nice guy Eddie. But obviously that wasn't the case.
I guess in theory it could have been, because it could have been like he wanted to take over the crime family himself. But then you kind of see right in the opening scene that he's not even prepared for that, and I don't think he really even has his eyes on. I think he's totally cool with being the fuck up kid who just gets the money from the trickle down effect. He's basically a gangster version of Billy Madison in the beginning of the movie.
Oh gosh, what an insult to Billy
that.
Madison. That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's. I mean, like, obviously he's
more competent he's way more competent than.
Yeah, but what I mean by that is that he's cool with just kind of being the kid who his dad's in charge, and he knows how to do the stuff. If he has to, he can, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't feel it. Every time he has to do it, you almost feel like he's not comfortable doing it. He's like, I'd rather be at home with Nintendo.
Yeah, he's just trying to chill. I thought that was interesting about his character, nice guy Eddie, because he is kind of for quite a while. I'd say like the first hour, he is sort of played off as like the idiot son that's just kind of like hanging around, still getting paid for work that really makes no sense. Didn't seem like he really contributed much until we got a flashback with his conversation with Mr. Blonde, and you realize that he's not a total idiot. He has pretty good plans. He had a great plan for Mr. Blonde getting back involved with the business, the family business. So I was definitely curious about that. And also, I thought it was interesting how his character, he didn't seem like a total dick until because at first it seems like he's almost compassionate towards the cop that Mr. Blonde took because he kind of levels with the group, like, we don't need to be torturing this guy. Nothing's going to change if he gets tortured, just leave him alone. I thought that was like, oh great, finally somebody's showing this poor cop some compassion. And then when he comes back, he shoots him in the head, so that quickly shifts. But yeah, that character was definitely all over the place. I think, speaking of character shifting, we need to get to the final act, the main event. The finale is just insane. Everything that happens, all of these little points, all the tension is finally released at the very end, where a lot of these big names finally come together. You have Big Ugly Joe. He shows up with Nice Guy Eddie, and the scene is set for chaos to ensue here. Joe arrives, Joe Cabot. He storms in, and right when he shows up, he immediately accuses Mr. Orange of being the rat, and he's convinced he was the reason why all of this went to shit. And you know what? He was right about everything. It all made sense. Mr. Orange has been planting the seeds of deceit this whole time, even though he's been bleeding out. I thought what was interesting was, throughout the movie, his injury was sort of like a blanket of grace. For whatever reason, him being shot was sort of like initiation and a realization that, okay, it can't be him because he's literally, dealing with
He's
a
dying
mortal
for
wound.
this right
Yeah.
now.
I think that was such an interesting element of the movie that, he's okay because he's dying, because nobody really questioned him being the snitch the whole time up until that point. He didn't receive very much blowback like the other characters did.
Well, they do say it once. What is it, Mr. Pink? I don't remember the exact line. He was like, "For all I know, he could be the fucking snitch,"
Yeah,
like, and then he goes,
yeah.
And then that's when Mike White, Mike White. I just read something about the quarterback, Mike White, Mr. White. Mr. White is like he's fucking dying. Like, they say it multiple times. I'm fucking dying here is such a great line from Tim Roth later on.
Wait, here, let me read one of my favorite lines. I wrote it down. One of my favorite lines from the whole movie. Where is it? It has it's Steve Buscemi. What does he say? Come on, I gotta find it here. I wrote it.
Steve Buscemi has probably all the best lines in the
It's
movie.
about him talking about the shitter. Where is it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is so funny. Something about the dungeon. Let me see if I can pull it up. Oh yeah, where's the commode in this dungeon? I gotta take a squirt. That got me laughing, man. I loved that. That's total nonsense now. I've never heard of a commode, and yeah, you don't say take a squirt anymore. That's not really no, it doesn't make much sense. But back to where we are in the story. So as what's common during the whole movie, Mr. White, he just staunchly defends Orange to the point where, he's protective. He's like fatherly over Mr. Orange, completely convinced that Orange is not the snitch. It's not him. There's no way in hell it's him, because, he shared an interesting connection with Orange. And, he feels majorly responsible for his fatal wound, getting shot in the stomach from an interaction they had before. So he refuses to believe Joe, and he starts pointing his gun at him. And it's a standoff here. Joe and his delinquent son, Eddie, they are aiming their guns at each other. It's a classic Mexican standoff.
I was about to say, you better call it a Mexican standoff.
Classic Mexican standoff. And right here and there, they're battering at each other, and they start firing. All of them get shot, and all of them are pretty much dead, except White. White's barely hanging on by a thread. Joe's dead, flat out on the ground, not coming back. Eddie's also dead. He's no longer babbling anymore. And White, he starts scooting over to Tim Roth, Mr. Orange, and they're trying to console each other. Luke made a funny mention while we were watching the movie about how strange these two act around each other. They're very, and I think it makes sense.
Oh
They're
yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
they're really lovey-dovey, but it's not supposed to be lovey-dovey, obviously. I think
Yeah,
I can
it's very
imagine
No, I
well,
know,
it's very like it's like very father son kind
That's
of
what I was trying
love.
to tell myself, but like towards the whole car scene when they were getting on close and he was like whining, it was just, I don't know, it just rubbed me wrong. But then I was like, oh wait, he's like a really close to him, looking at him like a father figure or whatnot. Makes me feel.
I was trying
better.
to get since you said Mexican stand-up, I was trying to do that like whistle thing. I can do it with my hands, but I can't get it for some reason right now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the noise from the movies.
Yeah,
When
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Oh yeah, can you even do that with your hands?
I can do it. I can't get it right now though. I'll try. I'll keep trying. Don't worry.
Yeah, keep trying, and when you get it, we'll applaud you. But yeah, at this point, these guys are consoling each other, and Steve Buscemi has left the building. He knows shit just hit the fan. It's not over yet. He bounces, and you know what? Steve Buscemi, he's the only one here that actually knows where the diamonds are, and that's the end of his character. He's the only one that actually really makes it out of here alive, because soon after this happens, both characters, Mr. White and Mr. Orange, they're hanging on for dear life. And for whatever reason, Tim Roth reveals, I'm the cop. I'm the cop. And, as you said, Dark Hour, early on, Mr. White just breaks down. He loses himself. And it's at this point when the cops barge in and he's like just absolutely suffering inside and out.
Sounds good.
Not quite there.
Oh.
It's hard to find the spot.
That's the talent.
It's like we're at a talent show in 5th grade.
You heard it mostly. It's hard to find the spot though.
That sounded pretty good.
I can get a lot better. I just don't want to I don't want to waste too much time on the screen.
You gotta practice off show.
I'll try one more time.
Good.
You can hear it. It's just like, yeah, it's one of those things. Your hands have to be in an exact right spot, and you have to hit the air at the exact right angle, and it works. But I'll try again toward the end. I'll try again toward the end.
Very impressive, Dark Hour. Thanks for contributing. But yeah, at this point, Tim Roth, he spilled the beans. He's the cop, and Mr. White kills him on the spot. And in turn, the cops shoot him down. And that's the end of the movie. That's it. So what were your guys' final thoughts on what happened in that final chapter of the story? Because this was this was a pivotal 5 minutes. This is the most impactful 5 minutes of the entire movie. Everything came together to lead to this. So what were your guys' thoughts?
It was a little disappointing that it came to
disappointing.
I love the end of this movie. I love it.
I wanted more action. I didn't want them to just all die simultaneously
in an instant.
I wanted a raid, or I wanted some characters to switch up on one another. I don't know. It's just
they did.
I wanted Mr. Pink to do something vicious and shoot up. I wanted all the cops to run in and raid the building.
Well, if you listen closely, Mr. Pink does die. You have to. He gets. They're arresting him outside, and he's yelling, and then you hear gunshots. He does die.
Crap.
Yeah.
That sucks. I didn't think that was the ending. I'm going to have to listen to that
Sorry,
carefully.
not disappointing. Anticlimactic. That's my word.
I'm still trying, damn it.
I think we're past that now, Dark Hour.
No, I'm gonna get it.
Rachel, it was anticlimactic, not disappointing.
Rachel's very disappointed in you, Luke. Disappointing? That's it. Turn his brightness back up. Yeah, literally. You're glowing today, man. I love seeing how bright you are. I wonder if there's a way I could turn your brightness up. That would be so.
Well, no, you.
How about down, dude.
There is a darkness. There is a dark mode on Streamlab.
I just need to turn my screen brightness down. I don't know how to do that.
You're good, Luke. Dark Hour, do you have any final thoughts on the conclusion of how this story ended?
I don't think there was really any other way that what were they going to do? Ride off into the sunset with the diamonds? What was there? There was no other way for this to end. It had to end with all of them dead. It was there was they try to bullshit you into thinking that Tim Roth's character can survive, but he's bled out too much. He's not going to survive that. He's had too much internal damage. They're not getting out of the building. They're found. They know where the cops know where they need to go to get them. So I don't think there could have been any other ending. I think any kind of happy ending would have sucked, in my opinion.
They don't deserve a happy ending. No. None of them, except poor Tim Roth. It's really sad what happened to him. I don't think. I don't know. It was. I don't get, like, I think, he spilled the beans on him being a cop, because I think, at that point all hope was lost. I don't think he saw him living through this. And I think maybe he had hope that even if he did, that for whatever reason, his like bond and friendship would kind of keep him alive, but nope.
No, yeah. I think it was just the way I look at it, that last reveal to Mr. White is he was basically telling him because he felt he owed it to him. And honestly, you could argue that the other way, it's like maybe he shouldn't have said anything that way. It would kind of be like a lie of omission that would be a good thing for him to keep with Mr. White. But I think he felt that he owed it to him because he had been, White had let him into the real person, and Orange had been letting him into the person that he was pretending to be. So it was, they weren't on even terms at that moment, and it was maybe like his conscience was like weighing on him. That's how I've always felt. It wasn't necessarily that he was trying to be like, well, fuck you. It was more like I'm sorry. Yeah. It was, it's an I'm sorry. I need your forgiveness for this, but he's not going to get that.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I think it's funny how that's something I appreciate about Tarantino is he gives you so many like emotionally complicated characters that are so morally compromised, because none of these characters are good guys except Tim Roth. And, he's even kind of shaky himself. But, we follow them. Those are there are protagonists in their story, but all of these characters are bad guys. And I don't think we don't get that very well represented at all anymore. Yeah. And, kind of hearkening back to like the particularly violent scenes with Mr. Blonde, those scenes, the shock factor and the crudeness of them, it just, there's no way but to cement that as just a truly horrifying evil villain. You know what I mean? Like, when you show that kind of thing, you can't help but to feel like this guy is a threat and a danger, even to us as audience members. And I think that's why they stick with you more than others.
So one of the most misunderstood terms, and you said protagonist, it's one of the most misunderstood terms in all of fandom. Protagonist, nowhere in the definition of protagonist does it say that the person needs to be good.
It's good. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
It is a major character which progresses the story. The progress the story. Protagonist. Antagonist is the one that tries to prevent that from happening. So in this case, it's like, it doesn't matter if they're like, technically Mr. White is a protagonist. Mr. Pink is a protagonist. Not the antagonists would be kind of the police, but Mr. Blonde. He's really kind of the one who's throwing the monkey wrench into the whole thing. So it's usually a very misunderstood, because people assume pro means like good.
Yeah.
Like we're pro. Yeah. Like, but really what it means is to progress the plot.
Yeah. And I wasn't trying to say that was the case. Would you consider Joe to be an antagonist? Joe and Eddie?
He's more of a, no, I wouldn't call him an antagonist, because he's more of like a factor. Like he's the reason the plot even kicks off to begin with. Really, they're trying to get, the police are trying to get him. He's more of an environmental factor. He's not neither pro. He's kind of part of the protagonist group because he's the one who put together the entire group to begin with. But then he kind of fucks off for most of the movie. And so he's more of just he's an element of the plot rather than a fully fledged out character.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah, we really don't see very much of him, but yeah, his appearance is important. Same for all these guys. All these characters are equally important.
Yeah. He's the third. He has the third least screen time of all of the people on this graphic.
Oh wow.
Mr. Blue has the least and the least lines. Then Mr. Brown, then him, then the other 5 are in the upper echelon.
I love that old actor. I've seen him. I've seen him in Seinfeld, and I think I've seen him in
I
one other
forget his
big movie.
name off the
Yeah,
top of my head.
he's
I can
awesome.
look
I
it up.
love how Tim Roth refers to him as the Thing. And my gosh,
Yeah.
if you look at that picture, that's literally the Thing right there.
Lawrence Tierney, that's it. Yeah, I knew his name, but yeah, that's the thing is Tim Roth, his character, if you look at his apartment, he's got like Silver Surfer posters and stuff.
Yeah, he would not like the new Silver Surfer very much. I don't think.
Probably not.
well,
that's that really what that is that's Tarantino loves comic books and stuff, and he puts it in. He always tries to write something into every one of his movies, whether it be a poster, a shirt, the entire speech at the end of Kill Bill. It's like he always tries to get it in there somehow.
I'd love to see
which is funny because he doesn't like what the MCU did to like theater.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could go back. Like, what was it? Alan Ang and Chris Gore, they were talking about this is actually a while ago. They were talking about how back when they were young, they would go to the theater and there was like a dozen new movies to watch just every week, just a bunch of new titles. And, there would be like a few stinkers in there, but there'd be some great titles too. And every week you had something to look forward to, going to the theater and just picking out a movie. I really wish we had that now. I mean, it's just so,
and
you just know everything that's
longer.
coming out, and it's all just dry.
Yeah, movies stayed in theaters longer back then too, because there were, to make tapes, VHS tapes took a lot longer than making DVDs. And so the theater window was wider, and then they would go to a secondary theater, like some people call them like dollar theaters.
Yeah.
And then there was just so much of it was a different time. I remember like movies being in theaters for nearly a year sometimes.
It's weird how we've strayed from that so far. I remember because we had the $3 theater, and that was it was really run down and trashy.
Yeah, it depends on the. I didn't really need to. Where I'm from, there's mostly megaplexes, so I never really had to go to one of those. I don't even know if there really was any in my area, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, like it depends on the era. Like they were dollar theaters, $3, $5 theaters. I've been, actually, I have been to one now that I think about it, but it was kind of it was. When I was in college, there was one not far from where I went to college, and they did these really cool nights where they would bring like somebody that it would do like almost like they would do like B movies,
nice.
And they would try to get like the director or one of the actors or someone to come in for like a double feature or something.
That's sweet.
And that was kind of like my experience with those kind of theaters.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, we have like little indie theaters that do kind of similar stuff locally as well. But yeah,
they're making a comeback because people like that sort of thing. It's like a throwback,
Did you ever go to indie theaters, like little artsy ones, or?
So I went to one relatively recently, but it was for the weirdest thing. It was for a comedy show. It was Don't Tell comedy show.
Oh, really?
And yeah, they do them all over the country.
Yeah.
And what it is it'll be like local comedians will just buy out like an area that's not a normal place that you'd watch comedy, and it just happened to be like an indie movie theater that I went to. It was interesting.
Do you go to those often? Because I'm pretty familiar with Don't Tell comedy.
That was the only one I've been to. I would go to another one though. They seem to happen quite often, so I would go back.
Okay, nice. Sweet, man. Well, how do you guys feel about Tarantino if he like came back into the mix? Do you think we'll ever get another Tarantino film, or should we get another one?
Well, he wants to do one more. His number. He has one more to hit his number that he said he wanted to do. I just think he's.
Did he want 13 movies? Wasn't that what he wanted?
I think that's what it was. Yeah, and he has one left, and I think he's just nervous that he's not going to pick the right one, and he's going to want to have to come back.
On it. I wouldn't be opposed. I feel like with this day and age and the actors we have now, I feel like he only has a variety. Like
he doesn't have many options.
We have Brad Pitt. We have Jay Fox.
He could stick with the old heads.
Yeah,
Steve
we
Buscemi,
we can bring Travolta back.
Tim Roth. You get the old guys. That'd be cool. Travolta, sure. Samuel Jackson. I hope he doesn't invite any of the new young actors in. But I mean, he did a great job with Once Upon a Time in
10 films.
Hollywood.
He always wanted. He said he wanted to make 10 total films.
Oh, just 10. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Have you seen all his films? Because I think there's only 2 I haven't seen.
So I got to go through all of them in my head. So Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction. Do you count? I
Hateful
forget.
Eight.
Hateful Eight. I've seen Kill Bills, Django Unchained,
Inglourious Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards. I must be missing one.
Once Upon a Time.
Oh yeah, that's the only one I've never watched. I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, he also has one with like some black lady. Like
Oh,
as a cop or something.
Yeah.
He needs to put Mikey Madison in his next film.
No, no way. Get her out of here, man.
She needs to get flamethrown again.
No, I don't want her in any more movies. And then there's another one where he's a more prominent role in one of them. I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
From Dusk Till Dawn. Is that what you're thinking of?
Maybe that's
Jackie
it,
Brown.
yeah.
Jackie Brown was the one.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, those are the other 2.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in watching either of those.
Oh, and he also was what was the one that he did for the Grindhouse? I can't think of it all of a sudden.
I'll look it up.
Death Proof. Death Proof was the one that he did for Grindhouse.
Oh, I've heard that name before.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Of the 2 Grindhouse, so there's Death Proof and there was Planet Terror. I preferred Death Proof.
I think I've seen that Death Proof. Let me see.
That's the one. It's with Kurt Russell. He's like a stuntman, Mike.
Oh wait, no, I haven't seen this.
Yeah. So it's Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bills Volume 1 and 2, Death Proof, Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained, Hateful Eight. So yeah, the only 2 I haven't seen is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, mostly because Melvin Deeply tells me it sucks and I haven't watched it. Then I don't think I've seen. Maybe I've seen Jackie Brown. I can't recall.
You should watch Once a Time, man. I think you'd like it. It's different than his other stuff, but it slaps.
Yeah. But every other one of these I've seen. So yeah,
Brad Pitt is awesome.
I've seen 7 of the 9.
Okay, that's not too bad. Jeez, he wants to get to 10 movies. That's insane. That's not even that bad.
Yeah. I think he just something about he likes that round number, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I respect that. You know what? Don't waste yourself, man. I remember he kind of flipped and he was like talking about possibly doing a film with Adam Sandler. And I think he was supposed to be the critic or something like that. It was something weird with him, but he scrapped that idea. I think he also wanted to do a film with what's his name? Is it Cole Hauser? He was in Richard. Is it Richard Jewell? Let me look that up real quick.
I'm looking at the things that he was in as an actor, because like sometimes in my mind I'll think that like, oh, he directed that, but he was actually just in it. Like he was in From Dusk Till Dawn, but he didn't direct it. So.
Oh, okay, that's weird. Yeah. All right, weird cameo. All right, well, I think we pretty much covered the whole movie, everybody. That's it. Reservoir Dogs, great movie, definitely worth checking out. Dark Hour's favorite. Is this Luke's favorite Tarantino film? Pulp Fiction still.
Yeah, I give it to Pulp Fiction.
Got it. He's giving it to Pulp Fiction. I don't blame you. He's got, all of these are just so much fun. I really like Hateful Eight. Hateful Eight, it's not my favorite, but it's probably top 3 for me. But, so many of his movies are definitely worth checking out. And I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we did an old stream. That was one of the first few we ever did.
The second one.
Yeah, the second one. And that was a lot of fun talking about that one. So I do think Dark Hour should try it out. I'm going to fight against what Melvin said. Check it out, Dark Hour. Give it a chance. We think
it's not that I wouldn't give it a chance. I just never came up. I just never got around to watching it. It's like something with Jackie Brown. I didn't avoid it. It just
sure. Yeah.
I've seen clips of Jackie Brown over the years. So, like, I almost feel like I've watched the movie. I'm pretty certain I never saw it in its entirety, though.
You've got a good enough helping from the clips. Yeah. It's weird how you could, like, look at clips and just, that's it. You don't need any more.
Well, yeah, sometimes now, like, you could just they'll have like 10 clips in a row from a movie, and you're like, yep, got the gist of it. Don't even
Yeah.
need to watch the rest of it. Like,
It's like that if you like want to rewatch a movie, like
mhm.
one of your favorite Spider-Man films. If you just look up the clips you want to like re-see, you could just look
I'm
at
gonna
that.
be I'm actually gonna be going to see because I have the Spider-Man movies, the original Tobey Maguire ones in
Yeah,
theaters again. They're doing
next
another
weekend.
re-release. Yeah, they're doing them 3 weeks in a row.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay,
the
so
one
that's
they're
why you're
doing for
doing it.
two, the one that they're doing for two is 2.1. They're doing
Yep.
the
Uh-huh.
extended cut. I'm
I'm
really
excited,
excited.
Sorry,
man.
did you say 3 weeks in a row?
Yeah, so it's 1, 2, and 3. I'm not gonna see 3 because I hate 3. I'm just gonna see 1 and 2.
Oh,
No,
so they're not playing them
Dark
3 days in a
Hour.
row?
What?
So they're not playing them 3 days in a row.
No,
Our
they do each
theater is.
1 week. Oh, maybe they are for you guys, but
Yeah.
for mine,
Man.
it's each one's getting a full weekend.
I hope that's the case for us, Jackson.
I wish that would have been better if that was our case.
Well, it
So
might-
what we're doing,
I don't like the third one, so I think
that's my favorite.
No.
I know, don't kill me, but yeah, I love 3, man. I think that was my token Spider-Man growing up. I think that's the one I was more of a competent viewer, and maybe that just shows I'm an idiot or something. I don't know, but I loved 3. I had a great time. We're watching. The way it works for us is next weekend. My girl and I we're seeing Spider-Man 1 on Friday, 2 Saturday, and 3 on Sunday. So it's gonna
All
be
right,
a
so
good
you guys
weekend.
have it as one whole weekend. Got it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
I think it's fun, man.
I know,
Great
but
intro.
I'm gonna try my best to make it. I'll be on vacation and
at minimum, you got to try and see 2.1.
Yes.
It's the
man.
first time the extended cut is ever going to be in theaters. So
I'll try to push to
Wow.
see that one at least.
Yeah.
Have you
I'll-
seen the extended cut before?
yeah, but I've never
Okay.
seen it on a big
Yeah.
screen. So
Yeah,
Is
I've
it
seen-
really any good?
I mean,
Is
it's
it
not like it's better. But it's not like it's like any director's cut.
You
If
basically
you want,
get Jameson in a Spider-Man suit. That's
yeah.
pretty much
Nah,
it.
there's a little bit more than that,
Yeah.
but it's like any extended cut or any director's cut. If you're into having the extra stuff in there, yeah, like
Right.
some people prefer the shorter theatrical cuts of things.
You get a really cool fight. You get a new fight scene with Doc Ock and Spider-Man.
Oh, nice.
It's really
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'll take some more of that. Before we wrap up, let's get to the chat real quick. Thank you all for talking with us tonight. Sorry, we've gotten so entangled in the conversation. I've barely touched the chat. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Oh, cool. Hey, Parkfile. Talking about voice actors for some reason. I've interviewed voice actors in their 60s that still act childish, and God bless them for that.
Well,
That's good. Garner that in your heart.
Voice actors don't need to grow up. They sit in a room and talk to themselves all day. They don't need to grow up.
Yeah, that's as childish as it gets. Hey, but it makes them money, so good for them. Let's see. Wilkie was here. Oh, we missed you, Wilkie.
Hey,
good
Wilkie.
to see you, buddy. He's going to join us again next Tuesday to talk about Saving Private Ryan. So that'll be fun.
Oh, nice. I mean,
Let's
seen that one.
see. Oh, you haven't seen it
I
before?
know. It's a classic. That I've not seen.
Luke.
It's one of the best war films ever made.
Right,
yeah. Dark Hour is very disappointed in you.
Yeah, I mean that was most of the world's introduction to Vin Diesel. So
Right, really? Vin Diesel's in that?
Yeah,
Wow.
Vin Diesel.
That's a weird intro.
Yeah,
Well,
is-
he
did a good job.
He's not really a big part in the movie. He was he's one of the ones that kind of goes quickly. So
I'd prefer him in that over Riddick.
well, I
Let's
mean,
see.
what is it? Pitch Black was good. But like,
I haven't seen that.
So
I haven't
that's the
seen a
better
lot
one.
of Vin Diesel. Yeah, it's not. I haven't had too much good experience with him, but he was good. He was good. In
Pitch
Saving
Black
Private
is the
Ryan.
better Riddick film. So
Is that the second one?
that's the first one.
Oh, it's the first
Chronicles
one.
is the second one.
Oh, maybe I must have seen the first one then.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
I don't
Chronicles
even know
came
which
out-
one I saw.
So it went Pitch Black. Chronicles of Riddick was like 4 or 5 years later, and then they didn't release another one for almost like a decade later, and just Riddick, and that one was pretty bad. So it kind of went best one, decent one, not good one.
He's pretty big now. Have you seen him?
And he was
bulked
always fairly large. I mean, he wasn't like he
I
wasn't
knew him best in
huge
the
back then.
Pacifier.
Yes, yeah.
That was my big title with Vin Diesel. I'm glad he's still like doing stuff though.
Well, he's got that advantage of being a bald actor, so he kind of could just keep doing the same thing. He's been bald his
Just
whole
be
career,
bald
so
forever. Yeah.
you can just keep playing things.
Yeah, we don't need to see him with a wig on. That'd be more freaky. Rachel Piercy, our slang was at least fun. Slang now makes you sound like you're missing a section of your brain. Yeah, it's really
Agreed.
gone crazy. It's gotten to a point where you don't have any idea what someone's saying anymore. But I think we're kind of past that the whole brain rot language. I don't think that's as common now. But
Yeah,
I did think it was
that
kind of
was
fun.
that was
when
a
that was
weird era when people would talk like that, and I was just like,
Do you miss it, Dark Hour? We could bring it back for you.
no, please don't. I got in my comments, I got someone ripped into me for I said who could have saw that coming, and he was like, it's who could have seen that coming. I can't even listen to the rest of your video because you don't know how to speak English properly. I was like, dude, I just go off the cuff on a lot of my lines. Like I have a line written,
That's
but it's not finalized. It's like a rough version of the line. And I'll just kind of react like as I go along, the buildups, I try to keep them as natural as possible. Obviously, sometimes I have to re-record a line, I have to recreate that, that feeling that I had. But a lot of times it's very much a one after the other. And as I'm going, I'll go back and I'll change the script after the fact to for editing purposes.
Well, you make it sound real and rich. So, and that's what matters, right? You don't want to you're not just a stiff reading lines. So.
Well, I learned that from early on. I was very adherent to my script. I would have what I had written down was what I was going to say, no matter what, no matter how it sounded. Now, sometimes I'll read a line. I'll be like, that sounds horrible. That doesn't sound right at all. And so I'll keep the general concept of the line. Like if the line is Reservoir Dogs is good, I'm not going to be like, the next I'm going to be like, oh, that line doesn't sound good. Pulp Fiction's better. Like I'm not going to change the line completely, but it would be like, I'll change the line, the spirit of the line.
Same ideas. That's what matters. Proctfile, I have a local indie theater that hosts funky movies like Don't Let Us Go to the Dogs Tonight and Dix the Musical. Brawler would like that second one. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's got my name written all over it, doesn't it? Hey, I'm glad you saw Don't Let Us Go to the Dogs Tonight. I think you had a good experience with that one. It's good. You know what? These little indie films, they're encouraging to me. Not saying Dix the Musical is encouraging, but man, I've seen some great films at my little local indie theater, and that's like the little ray of hope for me with modern film is watching those smaller, low budget movies. So I'm glad you checked those out, Proctfile. Definitely recommend everybody to check out your local indie art theater.
Yep.
Let's see. Proctfile like Jackie Brown. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great. I just, like I said, I just haven't sat down and watched the whole movie.
Proctfall.
All I know,
Once Upon a Time.
I'll check it out.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Oh, well, wow. They made an animated Riddick movie.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, that one's pretty solid, the animated one.
Wow,
it's weird. A lot of times these animated movies that are like connected to universes are pretty good. I hate the Resident Evil is my all-time favorite game series. I hate all of the live action Resident Evil, but the animated ones are fucking great. Like they're all really good.
Okay. Are they like anime or is it like actually
animated? They're more like CGI. They try to make them look as close to the characters as possible. So
okay. Oh, well, everybody, I think that sums it up for us today. We had a great time talking with you all, talking about Reservoir Dogs. We all really enjoy it. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't yet seen it, and maybe just watch it again. Hopefully we encouraged you to give it some of your time. Before you go, though, please make sure to subscribe to Dark Hour and check out his channel. It's great having him on, and he's always a supportive voice for me as a young, growing little YouTuber. So we appreciate you, Dark Hour, and coming on and talking with us and granting us your sage wisdom.
Yeah. I love helping people. It's one of my favorite things. If I can give you any kind of information or any kind of help, I love doing it. Obviously it kicks you in the ass from time to time. You help the wrong people, you get burned a little bit. But, I would say more often than not, people are appreciative. And, you came to me it was funny. I'll never forget. You came to me the first time and you thought I had no idea who you were. And I was like, dude, I was like gearing up to ask you to come on my show and you just happened to beat me to it. Yeah, because I remember when you first appeared on with Drinker, and that was I was like, oh, look at this. It reminded me of the first time I got on his show, and it was really cool.
Oh, well, that's nice, man. Yeah, who's this weirdo kid? Let's see what he's up to.
Well, I mean, at least you kind of understood what you were supposed to be doing. I didn't even have that. I didn't have anything to build off of. I just went in completely dark, and it was like I've always told people, I probably would have picked a different name, because Dark Hour is just a name I used as a tag for years, like a gamer tag and stuff. Had I known this was the route I was going to go, I would have sat down and been like, "Oh, my name's going to be the dark reviewer or something." Like,
Nah, Dark Hours is genuine.
Yeah,
Dark Hours,
and it's cool.
Yeah. I've ran with it. I've been able to turn it into a lot of cool little like puns and stuff. So.
Yeah, you're good with your puns, man, and your famous T-shirts, of course.
I gotta get more. I feel like people have gotten used to these ones.
They're figuring you out, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you all for watching. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out Dark Hours channel as well, and stay tuned for next week, next Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. We're gonna be talking about Saving Private Ryan with our friend Wilkie and World War Joe, as Dark Hour knows. Great guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you guys next week.